Everyone, it's Bree here at Blossom and Branch Farm, and I'm going to be going through my seed list today and telling you all of the seeds that I absolutely do not skip every year. Let's go. Today's video is going to be focused on ones that I always do get. Quick plug before we start, guys, please don't forget to pre-order my book, The Regenerative Gardener's Handbook. It is coming out January 26th, and pre-orders are so important in the publishing world because it helps dictate how that first week of sales go. That's all in terms of what the bestsellers list look like and all of that. So if you could help me get that book on the bestsellers list, it would mean so much so we can get more people gardening regeneratively and without so much plastic. Everyone feels differently about flowers. It's one of the reasons that I love flowers so much, is because everybody's flower garden is a little bit different because everyone's taste is a little bit different. These are simply my own choices. And I'm talking about for cut flowers. Obviously there are other plants that I grow for my vegetables or for my herb garden. I'm just talking for my cut flower garden today. First thing I'm going to show you is basil seeds. So I love basil obviously to eat, but they also make a fabulous cut flower and a good filler. So the reason that I love basil is because it's easy to start from seed. It has a nice scent. It is a multitasker, so I can strip the leaves and use them in, you know, salads and those kinds of things, and I can use the flowers. So I love a multitasking plant. Also, it makes a great filler. So we're always looking for good fillers that have interesting foliage and that don't wilt. Now I have found that there is one specific variety of basil that I usually prefer, and that is called cinnamon basil. And the reason that I love cinnamon basil is because it has kind of the sweet cinnamony aroma. It also has an interesting leaf, a little bit of darker veining in the leaf, and it makes this really pretty purple head on the top. So you do want to wait to harvest basil until it's a little bit more mature. Some people have trouble with it flopping or getting wilty. That's usually because you're harvesting it too early. You do need to wait for it to bloom to harvest from. So the second one is Celosia. So Celosia comes in lots of different colors, as you can see, primary colors. It comes in a little bit more muted colors. So usually I tend to lean for, if you follow my channel for a while, you know I kind of go for more pinky peachies, neutralish colors. So I don't tend to go for those very, very bright ones, but they are very pretty. Look at this Chief series. Look at the rainbow colors of those. Very pretty. So I always get a Celosia. I like a Celosia also because it's a good hybrid. It kind of can toggle between a filler flower, but also it can be a focal flower because some of them do get very, very big. What I call more of the brain shaped Celosia, which kind of is the ruffly, ribbony look. They can really serve as almost a focal flower. They can get so large. But I do always get the flamingo feather Celosia, as well as a Chief Gold. So I like this one too because it kind of goes with that peachy theme that I usually like to do. So those are the two that I typically order. I used to order the Florette Celosias. Of course, she doesn't really sell her seeds anymore, and they were pretty expensive. Now I will say Celosia is a great one to save your own seed from. It's a really easy one to save seed from. Okay, next up, Foxglove. Foxglove is a very misunderstood cut flower, I feel like. It has a bad reputation because obviously foxglove is toxic. So if you're growing it, make sure that people know not to eat it. I just don't sell my flowers as edible at all because I just don't even want to get into that rabbit hole. Foxglove are very, very elegant and beautiful. They do have a little bit of a more limited harvest window just because you want to get them when the tops are still tight. Once the weather gets pretty hot, they tend to be a little bit more of a sad flower. They tend to get a little bit wilty as the summer goes on, and then they just don't look very good. So they're really more of a spring flower. So I do start them right about January. They're an early one that I start. And the one that I usually start is this variety called Dalmatian. I'll also sometimes grow one that's the Camelot variety. And the reason that I go for those ones are because they're first year bloomers. So usually, you know, Foxglove are a biennial, which means they're going to bloom every other year. So these ones, they will bloom for me my first season if I get them out nice and early in spring. And I'm putting them out about 6 weeks before my last frost. So even up to 8 weeks before last frost. So that's number 2. All right, number 3 that I always get, I am always starting more Echinacea, particularly from seed, and particularly the straight native variety, which for me is Echinacea purpurea, this kind of purpley pinky one. just because they're very hard to find in nurseries. And in terms of pollinator benefits, I find that that straight native Echinacea is the best for things like my swallowtails. The monarchs are usually on them. All kinds of bumblebees are usually on them, mason bees, other beneficial insects. So it's really a good ecosystem garden plant, especially for those of us in North America. There's an Echinacea native to most of you, but in the nursery, most of the Echinaceas you're going to find are going to be the cultivars, the hybridized versions, which are fine. If you like them, it's okay. I just like to make sure I'm including some of the straight native varieties as well, which means I'm starting them from seed. And I put them everywhere because they're so beautiful. They bloom all year. They're interesting looking in winter. I just love a good Echinacea, and they're a pretty easy start from seed as well. I'm just skipping over all the ones that I know I'm not going to order because, again, that's just as important as the ones that I do order. Always getting Feverfew. So Feverfew, the one that I prefer to grow for cut flowers for filler is the single variety of Feverfew, this straight, it's called Magic Single. I've grown these ones, these Tetra Whites before. They just browned really quickly for me, so I prefer that just regular kind of, it looks like chamomile. People always think it's chamomile, but it's a great filler. I love Feverfew for filler, and I often will have people buy just straight bunches of it from me too to use for medicinal purposes. I love growing that, always growing Feverfew. The next one is one of my favorites, and every time we have a U-pick, this one is so popular and everyone's always like, what is this one? This is Lemon Mint Monarda, a variety of bee balm. So bee balm, the straight native one for me, looks kind of like this. It's a single tuft at the top usually, and it's a light purple. But this lemon mint one, it has these multiple tufts going up the stem, and it just looks like this little Dr. Seuss flower. And so it's very interesting for people to come and see growing in the field. It smells great. It's beautiful. It has a wonderful vase life. So that's one I always get. You can also save your seeds from those ones. I just never have any left in the field. They literally get cleared from my field. So I never have seeds to save from those. So I will definitely be buying those. Oh, these ones, Rudbeckia Sahara. So I love a Rudbeckia. You guys know I love a Rudbeckia. I've been actually moving away a little bit from Rudbeckia in terms of using them in cuts, so using them in bouquets and things, just because I do find they brown a little bit faster than a lot of the other things in my vase, but I love them for a landscape, so I'm always buying Rudbeckia. But again, okay, if we're talking cut flowers, my best bet for good vase life is always the Sahara series. It just lasts a little bit longer than the single varieties of Rudbeckia. All right, so, ooh, Scabiosa. I'm always ordering a Scabiosa. I'm gonna show you my two favorites. My two favorites are this Black Knight, the one next to it, which is called Fata Morgana, that kind of light pinky peachy one. These two are my favorites. Again, a lot of this has to do with the color palette. This one next to it tends to be a little bit too red for me. This one's a little bit too bright purple. These ones are a little bit smaller. This one's kind of pretty, this one. And the whites I just don't use that often, quite honestly. Mostly for market bouquets, I'm doing bright colors. So those are the two I always get. Also easy to start from seed. And I always get a Scabiosa Starflower. This is another one, if you have it growing, you will always be able to harvest your own seed from it. Starflower makes so many seeds, but this is a great one if you're doing any kind of weddings, if you're doing boutonnieres, corsages, because it holds really, really well. Obviously it's like a dried flower. So if you're doing any kind of like personals, people love those Scabiosa for little bouquets and things because they last great out of water. The next ones that I'm gonna be listing make up the bulk of my seed order. So Snapdragons, first up. Look at the Snapdragon eye candy. Oh my gosh, my favorite. You guys know I love Snapdragons. Usually every year I do about 2 rows of just Snapdragons, which means about 900 to 1,000 plants of Snapdragon. And so yes, I really love them. Now colors, guys, colors are up to you. There are so many different options for colors, but what I will say is pick a season 1-2 and a season 3-4 seed. So seasons for Snapdragons, you can go watch my full Snapdragon video, but a 1-2 is going to bloom earlier and a 3-4 is going to bloom later. So you want both, because otherwise you're gonna get all your Snapdragons at once and then you won't have any more. So I'm ordering some of mine. You can see Johnny's calls them out by cool season group 1-2, and then it calls them out by moderate warm season 3-4 or 2-3, and then warm season 3-4. So it'll tell you, in fact, which ones. This is one of the reasons why I love Johnny's, is because it tells you what groups they are. And these are all also nice and long for cutting. Many times people write to me and they're like, my Snapdragons are short. It's because you picked a bedding variety. Okay, so buy the cutting varieties that'll get tall. Ones I always get from group 1-2, the double frappe apricot. Again, guys, my color palette is so predictable. And these frappe light pink, I love these ones this year. And then I always like to get a Madame Butterfly, which is this one. This is Cherry Bronze. And in fact, I really love any of the ones in the Madame Butterfly series in general. They're all kind of my favorite because they're very ruffly. I don't love these super bright primary color Snapdragons. Again, that's just a personal preference. It's what my customers have come to expect from me. Oh, and this one, this is a new one. Look at this one. Potomac Plum Blossom. You can bet your britches I'm going to be ordering that one because I love Apple Blossom, which is a little bit pinker, and that one's a little bit purplier. Purplier. Yes. I'm not doing stock this year because I'm anticipating we're going to have a warm spring. As much as I love the smell of stock, it gets too hot too quickly here. It's the same reason I don't do ranunculus anymore. They're just not worth the bother for me, personally. But Strawflower, absolutely. I love doing Strawflower because in the winter months, around, say, Valentine's Day, it is so nice to have some bunches of dried flowers because there are always people who are like, hey, do you have anything for Valentine's Day? And I'll say, yes, I have these beautiful Strawflower. And they come in actually really nice colors for Valentine's Day as well. So usually I'll order some kind of a mix. I like the seashells mix, or this apricot peach mix is usually my go-to because, again, that tends to be my color palette. Sunflowers, yes, I don't grow as many as I used to. Number one, because I have a lot of trouble with the seeds getting eaten before they have time to grow. But number two, because I find they just get a little bit too big for my bouquets. They tend to be very, very dominating, and my bouquets are not so country. My bouquets are a little bit more curated, maybe a little bit more upscale flowers. And so the sunflowers for me aren't that popular until fall. So usually I'll start them maybe in July and then I'll have them in fall. And that's kind of when people I find are wanting sunflowers. It kind of goes with the theme. But the ones that I always get are the Pro Cuts. And that means the Pro Cuts are ones that are pollenless. So that means that they're not going to be dropping pollen all over people's tables. And the other sunflowers I always get, oh, this is my favorite Pro Cut of all time. It's called Pro Cut Plum. You can see what a pretty color it is. It kind of has this like raspberry, strawberry center. Goes with the palette. Now, if I plant my sunflowers very, very closely together, you might remember this from a past video. I know I've talked about it. I plant them very closely. So standard, they say like 6 inches apart for your sunflowers. For me, that's about this. I plant them this close. That means they don't get very big. They stay pretty small, and they're not going to get these huge heads. But that means my seed are pretty expensive because the flowers aren't that big. So it's just, if I am going to grow them, I'll often also grow the Sunflower Steve sunflowers because they're just special and fun, and he's got so many different beautiful varieties. Go check out Sunflower Steve if you don't know who I'm talking about. Great friend of mine. Okay, and I'm down to my last two. We are almost done. If you followed me for any amount of time, j'adore les sweet peas. I love sweet peas. Now, they actually don't have the ones that I usually order. They have more colors online. But usually I order the Spencer ice creams, which are white. And that is because I really only use these days sweet peas for weddings. So the other one that I'll do is the blue variety. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I'll put it in the on the screen. And that's because I usually use them for weddings. Typically I use sweet peas for events. That's just because they don't have the longest vase life. Now the greens have a great vase life, but the flowers themselves, a little bit shorter vase life, so they're better for event work for me. That means weddings. And that means usually for weddings, I'm either looking at whites, or I love to do a pop of blue sweet peas in a colorful bridal bouquet. Okay, just pick the colors that you like, but I do like to do a sweet pea, and this is another one I'm getting ready to start, so get these ordered. Your Lizzie's, your sweet peas, see, they don't even have them in the catalog, probably because most people don't. This is why I skipped it. Look, this is all it says for Lisianthus. More information available online. They don't even put them in the catalog because so few people start them from seed because they have that reputation of being so difficult. I'm doing my video next week where I'm going to show you guys starting them. On Instagram, you can subscribe. I'll show you as we go with seed starting those ones. But remember, they're actually easier to start than you think. They just are slow growing. So you can buy them as plugs. Farmer Bailey has a new program where you can buy just small clusters of plugs. You don't have to buy 72 or 100. You can buy like 12. So that's another alternative. But I always buy my Lisianthus seeds. And those are ones you're going to want to buy now. Okay, your Lisianthus, your sweet peas, get those ordered because you're going to want to start. If you're starting them, you're starting them like in January. I hate saying timing because everyone's in a different growing zone. For some of you guys, you probably should have already started Lisianthus if you're starting from seed. My last frost is mid-May, so I usually plant out my Lisianthus in mid-April, just to give you an idea. So that's why I start them in January. Okie dokie, last up. Zinnia. You guys know how I love my zinnias. I love my zinnias. And this year, you might have seen my video where I reviewed Johnny's new zinnias, and I will post that below. But look, they have this new one called Linen. Oh, I will be ordering this. Absolutely will be ordering that. So it looks kind of like the ballerina, which actually was one of my favorite varieties. But maybe just a little bit less pink and a little bit more creamy. So it works with my color palette. So I always get, I'm going to definitely be ordering the ballerinas again. I will be ordering the linens. I'm not ordering the agaves again just because they looked a little bit, it's just because of the style of zinnia. It had nothing to do with the seed. It was just those cactus zinnias are a little bit, the petals look aged faster. But I am going to order the auroras. And then I always get the queen lime mix because people love the queen lime mix for U-picks, especially this queenie red lime. Always order those. So the zinnias probably make up the bulk of my seed order, but don't panic if you can't get those ordered yet. If you have to choose which ones you're going to start now, Lisianthus from my list, I'm getting my Lisianthus, I'm getting my sweet peas ordered, and I'm probably also going to start my foxglove. If you're doing things like violas or pansies, you'd also want to grab those, bupleurum. You could start your delphinium. So yeah, I'll just do a separate video of things to prioritize. I also am going to do my next video of seeds I never order anymore and why. So, okay, that's it for me for today. Guys, you know how these spring videos are. I just try to get you the information with as little dilly-dallying as possible because we are all in a hurry to get those gardens planned. Just a reminder, guys, my book is coming out in 3 weeks. I am very, very stressed and anxious about it, so please pre-order. I'll put the link below. It means so much. All right, guys, love you all. Hope you're having a great rest of your December into January, and I'll see you around here next time at the farm.